Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Matt Jarba. Welcome back to Three Buck Theater. Today I'm joined by my pal Resonant Justice, and we're going to be talking about Loki, Chapter 1. And this is a show that I know you and I have been excited for this, RJ. I know we've been very excited for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been really looking forward to this show. I mean, Marvel's been on a hot streak with their Disney Plus shows lately, and the trailers were really stunning to me, and I've been looking forward to see Tom Hiddleston get like this big opportunity in a way.
Well, I mean, yeah, considering he's one of the longest run actors in the MCU, him and really Chris Hemsworth kind of at this point have the length of time for these roles. But this show specifically is fascinating because it's coming on the heels of not only WandaVision, but Falcon and Winter Soldier, which were different in their own right. And this one is something that they're saying will have real ramifications for the MCU. Never mind the fact that they also said that for WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, which both actually did. So I'm really wondering what this show is going to bring to the table.
No, absolutely. I think the TVA is a major organization from the comics, and I think it was really cool to see them get introduced in this show, especially. And you're seeing how they've been there since the beginning in a way. So it's interesting to see how like the time stuff is going to be branching off. And I think even there's some references to like the multiverse, and they even use the word madness. It's like, oh, okay, they're playing those seeds for Doctor Strange 2 already.
Yeah. Oh no, the show is definitely going to be a lead into not only Doctor Strange 2, but Thor: Love and Thunder. And I know like Tom Hiddleston was saying that he's not in Thor: Love and Thunder, but it wouldn't really be a Thor movie without Loki to some extent, and everything. But we that's always something for down the road. So obviously this is a spoiler discussion. We're going to be going into it. So if you haven't seen it yet, pause this, go back, watch it twice, come back and check it out because I gotta say I was excited last night, but I was a little bit concerned because I saw some of the reports that were saying that it was a bit of a slow burn. But I just want to say right now, the slow burn is what makes the show great. It is very dialogue heavy, and that is,
Yeah.
and it's the thing is the dialogue is exceptional dialogue, and especially like well, if you've ever seen the Netflix series Mindhunter, it's very similar to Mindhunter in regards to the two FBI guys going out and and interviewing the serial killers. So that to me is pretty fascinating. But so the episode itself, it starts off with Loki, kind of giving us a recap from Avengers Endgame when the Tesseract gets in Loki's hands and he disappears and he ends up in the Gobi Desert, but we don't know what year. So
Yeah, that was interesting. Like, I guess like they kind of want you to infer maybe it's still 2012, but it didn't look like 2012 Gobi Desert. So it's like,
I'm
I
not too
mean,
sure how evolved the Gobi Desert is. I'm not going to lie and act like I know, but yeah, I thought it would have been like at a different timeline or whatever. Cause I mean, the Tesseract, that was the reality stone, wasn't it?
no, I believe it was the Mind Stone.
Right. The mind stone. Sorry. So he can, I figured the reality would have been better, but I mean, I don't know. I forget even what a
Yeah, it's
lot of
weird
the,
because the Tesseract could like open portals to that's how the Chitauri got to New York,
yeah.
right? So it's like, yeah.
But I thought he had the mind. No. The mind stone was in his scepter.
Oh, that's right. Yep, that's right. That's right. So my bad. The Tesseract was the Space
Okay.
Stone. Space
Space
Stone.
Stone. Thank you. I get them all confused myself, and I'm pretty sure the comments are going to be just ripping us to shreds for that. Sorry, guys, we're MCU fans, but you know what? We get things wrong. And so yeah, he ends up in the Gobi Desert, and then all of a sudden, all these TVA people just kind of randomly show up through these very odd portals. It kind of took me by surprise for a second, but I really enjoyed how he was like trying to like mess with them, and that one woman just effed him up in like one hit.
Yeah, it's like he was like, oh, what are they going to do? Those little sticks. Hits him once, he like goes into slow mo, and she's just in normal time, puts the collar on him. It's like he just
Yeah,
absolutely gets destroyed.
and she's like, "No, you're moving at about 1/16 the second, or 1/16 speed, but you're feeling the pain in real time, there, buddy." And I just kind of love that because it's just Loki getting his shit pushed in right away. And I mean, obviously, there's gonna be like a lot of kind of coming to terms because this is not Loki from Thor, Ragnarok or Infinity War. This is straight up 2012 Avengers Loki. This is before his character arc and everything. And what I love though is that the introduction of Owen Wilson's character I thought was fantastic of Agent Mobius because I like that it's in like 15th century or no 16th century France and they're investigating a murder of a group of TVA agents and a little boy sees them and the boy's got the gum. He's got that gum, but we don't know where the gum came from.
Yeah, yeah, and I think was it a little boy or a little girl? I don't remember.
It was a little boy.
I was
Although,
a little boy.
you know what? It's France.
Yeah,
Androgyny's the thing. You never know. I don't want to judge. I don't know what I don't know what
yeah.
they're
Well, if you notice, like when Mobius was talking to the kid, like the kid was like, "Who did this?" And he points, and the kid points to like the window. It's like the devil horn. It's like I saw some people going Mephisto.
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
saw it.
no,
Yeah, I saw
yeah,
Mephisto, and they came out today and they confirmed it wasn't Mephisto. Like the director of the series said it wasn't Mephisto. And then my response back to that was, "That's exactly what Mephisto wants you to think. That it's not Mephisto."
we're not
But they
going down that rabbit
we're
hole
not
again
going
from
down that again. There's
WandaVision.
not going to be a random shot of a fly on a window on the internet. Like, there it is. There it is. But I mean, I get why people want to see Mephisto, and I understand all that stuff. But what I enjoyed about just that intro was, like, for one, it's great to see Owen Wilson again. It just really is. And it really kind of established this mystery, and it was done in a way that was like, oh yeah, you could see this kind of playing out as like a detective show. And it would be very cool to see it play out as a detective show.
Yeah, I mean, they've said that this show took inspiration from movies like Seven and David Fincher stuff, and a little bit of like
Oh
Brazil.
yeah, yeah.
So
Okay, looking at some of the color scheme of that opening, because Seven had a lot of like when it was outside, like it played with a lot of the oranges for being like the warmer temperature for being in Los Angeles and stuff. And then that's kind of an old thing, but yeah, I can see that actually now. I can see how it was meant to kind of pull from that, and I think it makes me really wonder what a David Fincher directed Marvel show would be like. But what's cool though was like seeing the image of the horned character, and what I liked about that was the fact that like people were thinking Mephisto, and I'm thinking it looks like Loki. It looks
yeah,
like
like
Loki.
to me, I think that scene was meant to be foreshadowing. Like
Well,
I
it
would,
was foreshadowing because later on in the episode they talk about how it was Loki. Because remember, like Mobius is like, no, we're trying to find you. And of course, that's like, wait, what the hell's going on here? Obviously, some kind of very demented variant is out there, some very evil variant that's not this version of Loki. But which version of Loki is it? Because when they got to the TVA and we watched the Miss Minutes presentation, which I
yeah,
loved
yeah.
that thing,
Tara
by the way.
Strong in there is the voice of Miss Minutes, which I
Oh,
love.
really? I didn't know that was Tara Strong.
Yeah, because I
Oh,
stayed until the end of the credits just to make sure there wasn't a post-credit scene. It said and featuring Tara Strong as the voice of Miss Minutes. I'm like, oh, good for you, Tara. Get that work
nice.
done.
Well, the thing is, like, I grew up in the generation right after those kind of uh classroom made videos, right? Those little
Mhm.
educational videos. But I've seen stuff that's very similar. So I mean, because I'm almost 40 and I know you were way younger than me, so you did not have those growing up. But like, so it's always kind of cool to see those old PSA educational style videos come back and be treated relatively with respect. And that sounds weird to say because those are always generally pretty terribly done and they're mocked more than they're revered. But I enjoyed it nonetheless, and it kind of set the tone for, like, I think a bit of the darker humor that's going to be in the show. And there's a lot of, I believe, dark humor in it. And that to me is like really cool because I'm really excited to see how far down the rabbit hole this show is going to take us, and whether or not, because this is kind of the first time Marvel is doing something that is this level of I would say uh dark, like
Mhm.
I know it's leading into Doctor Strange, which is originally pitched as a horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, did you see that one interview from the writer of Loki? I think his name is Michael Waldron. He said basically when Sam Raimi came on, we basically retooled the entire script. You
Oh
know?
yeah, yeah, and the fact that he's writing this show, he developed this show, he wrote this show, and he's doing Doctor Strange 2 and a Star Wars film for Kevin Feige. This guy right now is the dude I'm like honed in on this guy because I want to know exactly what he's working on.
Sam.
And then if it's quality, again, the dialogue excellent. It sold me on this so much because what I loved was like when they got to the line, they got to the queue, and it's like take a number, and that one guy whose dad was like an Enron executive or something, like Goldman Sachs executive, right? And that one other kind of douchey New Yorker type kid, that the affluent entitled little bastard, and he's like, I don't need no freaking number, there's no one here, and then they kill him.
Yeah, they just vaporized him, and then Loki's like, "Oh shoot, where's my ticket? Pull it
Yeah,
out
okay,
now."
I got it right here, and then cue opening credits. But I thought that was pretty funny, establishing that these guys are not messing around, which is the one thing that Loki had to learn throughout the episode, obviously. But what was really cool was when they go into the to the courtroom, And he's
Mhm.
trying, like, Loki is posturing like crazy. And I love it when Tom Hiddleston postures as Loki. And then here just comes Owen Wilson, and Owen Wilson's just like, let me talk to the judge for a second, And then he starts flattering the judge, you know.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it seemed like what I like about the Mobius character is like he likes to like poke at your buttons, but he also compliments you too. Like you
Yeah,
notice he's talking to the judge, Gugu Badara. He's like, you're always standing above everyone, but he's like, I like that. It fits.
I'm always looking up to you.
Mhm.
I like that. It's a good place to be, and like total flirty, but total like she's telling him this is a bad idea, but he's reassuring her that it's not going to be a bad idea. And then he's also giving her a bit of a compliment to kind of, just to kind of move her away from everything. And that's Owen Wilson in a nutshell. And I think it
Mhm.
it plays in so well to the character because when they go to the next section, when they go into the interrogation room, this is where it goes full Netflix Mindhunter mode. And
Yeah, it's just sitting down like a one-on-one. It's like a detective interviewing a criminal.
yeah,
You
and
know?
the cool thing about it too was like, and this is where I've seen people complain about it. Like they were like, it's slow. There's not a lot of. I'm like, dude, I was so into that scene. Like, you could, you should just have Mobius interview villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and like get them to like break down psychologically and like expose who they really are. And what I loved about that was at first, again, Loki's like, oh, you can't get me and whatever. And then anytime he tries to do anything, like Owen Wilson just resets the time on him. Like, no, just resets the collar. You're back to square one. And he just kind of breaks him down little bit by little bit. But he's very friendly about it. He never raises his voice. He never like threatens him, never, no good cop, bad cop. But what was cool was when he basically calls him out for being a failure. And I thought that was really interesting because he's like, yeah, you are born to fail, you know? And then like your
Yeah,
failure here,
you're born to fail. That way you can lift others up to become the best versions of themselves.
yeah, like I mean, just imagine you are hearing that. You like I mean, just to imagine anyone ever hears that and you're gonna be like, wait, what? Like that has got to be such a blow to the ego. And then by having him point to the screen and seeing that great shot from the Avengers where the camera's just panning around to all of them, and like they try to like
Mhm.
they call back to Coulson, which I thought was pretty great. And he's like, "Well, that guy's dead. He didn't really, whatever." And it's like, no, but they all came together to avenge him to get you, you know. So yeah, you brought him back, and I thought that was awesome. But then what was really cool for me was just because you knew what they were going to show a bit of Loki's future, and I didn't know that they were going to go as far as they did. But when they brought in Freya, what I liked about that was because that was one of my favorite moments from Endgame was when Thor goes into Asgard and he meets Freya, and he's basically just trying to like ask his mom if he's worthy,
Mhm.
and she's like, oh, time hasn't been good to you and all this stuff and all of these things, and it's like he just because that's the whole thing, he never got to grieve his mom and he never got to do any of that from the dark world. And so just
Yeah.
seeing her once again, and again after being like the 5 years of just stress eating and the guilt, the survivor's guilt, all that stuff that he has, it was such a great way to kind of like bring closure to that, to him on that, especially when he holds out his hand and like Mjolnir comes and he's like, I'm still worthy, and you see how elevated and
Yeah,
relieved
it's
he is.
his eyes are welling up with tears in a
Yeah,
way.
it's a great scene. I will always say that Thor's journey, the best Thor arc was Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame. That's Thor's journey. And but what I loved about this though was like Loki, sees Freya and like they kind of play back that conversation between the two of them from the Dark World.
Mhm.
And he's trying to be, you can tell his ego is coming out. He's trying to like fight back against it. But then when Mobius is all, no, and you led them to her death.
Yeah, you were the one who caused her to die. Basically, says her death is on your hands.
Yeah.
That's what like really pisses him off.
Yeah, and I thought that was great because even in the Dark World, when Thor informs him that Freya's dead, and he kind of acts like he doesn't give a shit, then when he walks away, like he just does his powers and like just destroys the room because he's angry at it, because he did care about his mother and he did love his mother, and I love that they brought back that back up here. And what was really cool was when he escaped and he came back into the room and he's watching all that again. What I loved was that it shows all, like a lot of the moments of like Thor going like, I always loved you, I looked up to you, I thought we were gonna like fight alongside each other forever, you're my brother, and
Mhm.
all of those things Loki was always pushing against. And that was him again, 2012 Loki, where he still hates Thor and he hates Odin. And this is before he had taken over. But then hearing Odin say, "I love you, my sons. Always remember this place," and all that, all the familial emotion that came out of it. I thought that was great. And especially when he watched his death, right? When
that
he watched
was
his death.
yeah. Because it's like it wasn't like a grand death. It wasn't him going out in a blaze of glory. It's like, well, it's him sacrificing himself in like this in a small way to save his brother, and like the look on Tom Hiddleston's face, where he's like, "This is what my life amounted to. It ended like this,"
Well,
and he says, "Yeah."
Well, there's also a great metaphor there too. I don't know if you caught that. Right after right after he died, we hear the next snap and he drops, and then there's Thor over his body crying, right? And then you start seeing the explosions behind him. And because we know that at that point they're going to blow up the ship and then Thor's going to get blasted out. But right there, the tape runs out and you just see the end of the end of reel, masking tape on the film reel.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be a projectionist. So my job was breaking down movies and putting up movies and whatever. So that film reel, that end of that reel, it's very significant. That is like the end of it. And so I know it's a subtle thing, but I really enjoyed how they kind of put that together, and how, again, it just kind of showcases like, yeah, the end of your life story, the end of the journey. This is where there's no more. And that's got to be, I mean, just imagine that from his perspective. Like, he's a god. He's like, I'm the god of mischief. And then he's, finding like, I'm going to die. And this is basically where I was meant to die.
Yeah. And he says the line, or because he says it in the start of the episode, he says, "And I've been burdened with glorious purpose." And at the end, when he sees his whole life play out, he says, "Glorious purpose, huh?" Like, he's just like laughing to himself about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's that. And that's also the name of the episode too. So that's, they really kind of tied it in, and I thought it worked out really well. But I will say my favorite, and this is what's really funny, is my favorite little bit about Loki when he escapes, and especially when he was messing with that woman, like just bringing her in and bringing her out. But when he gets away, and he's trying to get the Tesseract in order to open up space and to get the hell out of there, and just like he's threatening that guy who's literally was made by the Watchers, right? Or not the Watchers, the
Timekeepers.
Thank you. To work behind a desk. This guy has never been outside, and he's like, "I'll gut you like a fish." He's like, "What's a fish?" And then he opens up the thing and they find the Tesseract and then all the other Infinity Stones.
And he says, and Loki's like really confused. He's like, "What the heck is all this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we get these all the time. They're just paperweights to us.
Yeah,
we just use them on the desks."
And I've seen people again get real mad at that, trying to say that the Infinity Saga meant nothing and that Thanos meant nothing and that the Infinity Stones mean nothing. No. That's not true at all. They mean nothing to the TVA. Loki's powers doesn't work in the TVA. No one has the ability to do magic or to do any kind of anything in the TVA. This is a very distinct place with very distinct rules. And that is why when they get those Infinity Stones, they don't mean anything. Now, if they were to take those Infinity Stones and leave the TVA, then you're talking it's a different world. That's a different ball game. But in that moment, they don't mean anything. And so that to me was one of the most funniest parts of the episode, because we spent how many years? How many years watching these movies play out? 13 years watching these movies play out. And then you get to the, all for the Infinity Stones because they're all powerful. And then you find out, yeah, on that realm of existence, sure. On that plane of existence they are, but here they don't mean crap.
And Loki is so bewildered. He's like, "Is this the greatest power in the whole universe?" Like, he's just like, because there's like tons of Infinity Stones just lying there everywhere. It's like, yeah, this is the greatest power in the whole wide universe.
But then, he's saying that while he's looking at like an old 1950s monitor or 1960s monitor of the timeline, and it's interesting because they kind of introduced a little bit of the multiverse in that. And what I enjoyed is that they sat there and they're like, okay, there are going to be the people that kind of, the variants that kind of veer off course. And if they're not contained and reset, then it obviously is going to have impacts. Now I'm wondering how much of that ties into what the Ancient One told Banner in Endgame, when she was like, look, if you take out the Infinity Stones from a timeline, it branches out. Because that was what we thought was the first kind of view of the multiverse. So if these guys are meant to keep everything in line, to keep the one standard timeline, and I'm assuming that's going to be like 616, right? I think that's going to be 616. But from there, so were they, I mean, my question then is, because when they make the comment about the Avengers going through time and Loki figuring that out, which I mean was maybe a little bit of a plot hole, but he seemed to just kind of figure it out. And but she said, but when the judge says that's what they were supposed to do,
Right, that was very interesting because it's like because it was a big question going into the show. It's like, well, Loki technically didn't do anything wrong. It was the Avengers who went back in time and did
yeah,
that. You know,
yeah.
they're the ones who screwed up their mission and led Loki to escape. So
But
why
at
aren't
the end
they
of
in
the day,
trouble?
but at the end of the day, though, remember 14 million potential outcomes with only one successful one, and that is the one that Doctor Strange saw, and that's the one that they went down, that we're led to believe, right? That we're led to believe. And I'm just wondering, like, how much of that was cleaned up by the TVA. And here's the thing: this is probably like the coolest thing about it. We don't know, and we'll probably never know. And I kind of don't want them to tell us, because you'll never know. And then it's going to make the whole rewatch of everything like, wait, like, did something else happen that wasn't supposed to happen, that they reset it? Like, what is this? And it's kind of this nice little air of mystery on the side.
Mhm. Yeah, and I was gonna ask you. I mean, you know, looking at the TVA and how they're run, I love how they run like this. Like Loki calls them a bunch of bureaucrats controlling trillions of lives. I mean, do you think that they're potentially setting up that the TVA might be corrupt or like everything's kind
Yes.
of a lie in a way?
Yeah, I think they are. I think because everyone's talking about Kang, the Conqueror, because he's going to be the villain in Quantum Mania, right?
Mm,
And so, people are talking about, like, I've seen some rumors, and I don't like about maybe one of the timekeepers has killed the other two timekeepers and has replaced them with variants of his, like evil variants of his. One of them could be Kang. I don't know, but I do think they are setting it up for that institution to be corrupt in order, to kind of like force Loki to really have to either make a big sacrifice or to kind of keep things going a certain way. Or look, if it's leading into the multiverse of madness, if the whole point of the TVA is to keep the one true timeline going, then something's going to happen that's going to have to break that timeline. And that's
right, because Miss Minutes was talking about, you know, back a long time ago, there was a multiversal war. Like there's this
yeah,
huge war
Secret
between the
Wars.
multiverses. Yeah, Secret Wars.
Secret
That's what I was
Wars.
thinking
And
too.
even the showrunner was all like, people were asking him about that. And he goes, look, you all know Marvel well enough to know that nothing is ever on accident. I'm paraphrasing. But that's basically what he said. It's all there for a reason. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like, yeah, like, I mean, and we know that they're doing Secret Invasion and they're for Disney Plus, and they're obviously going to be building up towards Secret Wars, and they're obviously going to be working towards the multiverse, because that's the best way to bring in Fantastic Four, and it's the best way to bring in the X-Men. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what they're building to right now. And I feel like this is going to be the show that leads them through this whole thing. And I mean, again, we don't know yet. At the end of the episode, we just know that there's been another attack, and we don't know if it's Loki, but they're very much hinting at that. But I enjoyed how that whole thing played out, where they're like, like, let's not do the paperwork, let's just get out of here. And
Yeah,
then
that's like set so in those seeds. It's like, well, I thought you're supposed to care about your jobs. It's like, well, you're kind of being like, you know,
yeah,
secretive about this and being corrupt in a way.
yeah, well, we don't, yeah, let's just reset the timeline and get the hell out of here, sort of thing. No one will know, because it was like, what, 1800 Scotland or something. It
Mm.
was
Oh no, Oklahoma.
Oh, it was Oklahoma, right? So it was very much old. It was a long time ago. So back then, anything could really happen. And I just like, though, at the end where he just kind of baited them in and poured oil everywhere and then torched them all out. And it's like, okay, this guy is clearly setting traps. He clearly knows how to take out these teams, and they're not able to combat him. So they are going to need someone like Loki, who is
Yeah.
deceitful, who is deceptive, and is a mischievous scamp.
Well, do you think that this variant Loki is going to be played by Tom Hiddleston, or do you think like there have been rumors that's going to be Lady Loki, Kid Loki, Old Man Loki, played by Richard E. Grant? I mean, do you think that's what they're going to get, where it's like different actors playing a different version of Loki?
Is Richard E. Grant, is he in this show?
Yeah, he was cast in the show. Yes.
Okay. Honestly, like, this is the one that, like, I just kind of wanted to, I didn't follow the casting as much as maybe I should have. I heard Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston. I was very happy.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, same.
And then, so I'm like, all right, cool. We'll go with there. I think I was more interested probably in like Hawkeye casting around the same time, because of the whole like Haley Steinfeld, Kate Bishop thing that wasn't confirmed for the forever.
Yeah,
Well,
that was a whole
it could
saga
be
and a
that.
half.
Yeah, it could be a variant of Loki that could be played by somebody else, which would be pretty cool, and it would open up the multiverse aspect of that. Additionally, it could be Tom Hiddleston. I don't know. He is. I mean, keep in mind, they were saying today, like, there was a video I saw today of Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, and Tom Hiddleston, and they were talking about this like 6-hour Loki symposium that Tom Hiddleston gave to the writers of the show, because he's like, at this point probably like the world's most renowned expert on Loki.
Yeah, he's an executive producer on this show.
Oh yeah, so he's got clear input on it, and it shows. And that's great. And what I love though is like even Anthony Mackie's like, we were on the lot. Even Elizabeth Olsen was on the lot the day he gave this symposium, and they couldn't go crash it, and they were upset they couldn't go crash it. And what I loved about that was it just shows you that the actors in the series, they love what they do, and they all love each other, and that comes out very, very well in the way these shows are presented, in the way that these shows are completed. So it gives me hope for the future, because there's not chaos. There is very much simpatico actions here, right? So I'm okay with that. But I do quickly want to touch upon though the DB Cooper gag.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was really funny.
I thought that was going to come later on down the road, because it felt like
I thought it was going to be like a plot point or something.
Yeah, like that was going to be a whole episode to him being DB Cooper, which I thought was great, because I'm from the Northwest, so DB Cooper is a legend up here. And as a result of that, it was just a bet that he lost to Thor and Hemdall. Like, I don't know what the bet was. I don't know what it was, but it was just like, yeah, he lost the bet, and that was it. Like, that's all they said on it. And so I really want some more explanation about that. And I would love there to be, I'm very excited, because I know some people who've already seen the second episode, and they're not talking about it.
Critics and media. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not talking about it, and I'm not asking anything about it, because I just can't wait, because that's the way.
I don't want any spoilers for the show.
No,
I want to go in surprised.
Yeah, they've set up a great world. The visual aesthetic of the TVA feels very kind of Vince Gilligan, I feel like it's a very kind of Vince Gilligan, or whoever the guy who did Mad Men, I forget his name, but like the just the aesthetic of it, and seeing how they design the offices and like the old 60s garb and
that one
design.
shot where it's like Owen Wilson, Mobius, and Loki, they look outside the window and you see like the vast world of the TVA, like all the statues and stuff, all the technology. It's a really cool visual shot that they did.
Oh yeah, no, you look at that and you're like, man, this is definitely movie quality right here. This is why these shows have the budgets that they have. And then again, that opens up the world of like, whoa, what is this place? Like, where is it? And when is it? And just all of that stuff that we're probably going to get as the show goes on. So I don't get why people right now are saying the show is trash and that it destroys the legacy of Loki. It doesn't destroy the legacy of Loki. It actually, it kind of, I mean, look, I'll be fair. Maybe criticism wise, it kind of very quickly caught Loki up to speed.
Yeah, I mean, that you could argue that maybe they rushed him to that point where he's like, okay, I'm admitting who I really am and this and that. But like, it's a 6-episode show. It's like, obviously this Loki's going to change and grow. But that's the fascinating part. He's going to change and grow differently to what we saw in the movies. Like, at this point, he's a brand new character,
Yeah, it was someone that we never really got to see because of what happened in Thor: The Dark World, and we started seeing him change there. I mean, both for the good and bad. But let's be real here. Loki is going to backstab people. Loki is going to, look out for number one. And I feel that Owen Wilson is going to probably trust him a little bit too much down the road, and he's going to end up getting deceived. But then in the end, Loki is going to do what Loki always does: fail so that other people can be lifted to their fullest potential.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen. Now, I don't know ultimately if we're going to get more of the show. I mean, there's been talks like WandaVision is very much a limited series. Falcon and Winter Soldier, a limited series now that the Falcon or Captain America 4 has been talked about. And then this one I've heard potentially could go on for more seasons.
Yeah, I think Michael Waldron, they said, might be writing a script for a second season, but I don't know if it's been like officially announced yet.
I would love at this point, he's got my full attention, and I really want to see more what he brings to the table, because I think like his writing and Owen Wilson and the way that they can work together, same with Tom Hiddleston, the characterizations, the breakdowns, the psychobabble, the discussions, and like really getting to the heart and the meat of this character in a way that was not only interesting, but and necessary, but also like it was quickly done and it worked. Because, again, it's keeping people who are up to speed. If you didn't know who Loki was going into this show, you just spoiled a lot of stuff for yourself, by the way. But I don't think, again, people, they say that you don't need to watch the other Marvel movies in order to get the show. That's a load of crap, right? But they already know their audience is going to go watch it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like if you're investing in the MCU, you're gonna watch everything at this point. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
they're hedging their bets on.
3 shows. We're half the year, and we're already 3 shows in.
And like I said, June starts the year of Marvel in a way, because like every single month from now on, there's gonna be something dropping. So
As I've said, the only month that of this year where we didn't get anything new was May. That was it, the only month. And even then, you could argue the Eternals trailer, which we've been waiting for since forever, did drop in May. So that could count as something new. So yeah, this is the year where they're giving us something. But to not go too long on everything, because we are 30 minutes at this point. I guess final thoughts on the episode.
yeah, to me, I thought it was a fantastic premiere. Probably my favorite of the 3 Disney Plus Marvel shows so far. Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston have great chemistry. I'm really excited to see where the show goes. I feel like in a way this show is going to have large ramifications with the MCU, even more so than the last two. I love the Time Variance Authority. I love the production design. The music is great too, by the way. I want to give a shout out to the music. The music's great in this show. And yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed so far. This definitely feels the most like a movie. And the great thing is, I have no clue where the story is going next, and it feels so wildly unpredictable that it's just going to be like a wild ride for me. It's like every week I'm just going to tune and say, well, "What the heck's Loki going to do now?" It's like, it's going to be a great crime thriller where they're just going to be chasing down this other variant of Loki, and I'll be curious to see how the plot unravels from here.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm on board 100%. Disney Plus at this point is absolutely worth the price of admission. If only, and I don't want to dwell on it, but if only DC would get their crap together, they could have something like this that people like you and me would be fawning over, and a lot of other people would be fawning over and waiting to jump into the next episode because it's going to be that level of cool. I personally can't wait to see what happens. I'm right there with you. I like that it's unknown. I don't want to read up on the TVA or read up on any storylines because I want to be very much taken by surprise. And the amount of quality and loving care that these shows have presented this year so far is amazing. And I'm very happy to be a Marvel fan. And I I was a little bit concerned after Endgame because I'm like, or after Spider-Man, really, like, where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And then here it comes.
Like,
and
how are they going to keep the interest up? It's like, it's like people got the conclusion of the story they've been following for so long. Like at this point, are they just going to be milking it? Is there really anything left they have to tell? Yeah, they do. Not only that, but Loki and all these Disney Plus shows are a testament to why the weekly format works. Because now I'm like, I can't wait for Wednesday now. Like Wednesdays, I'm like, come on.
It's like, yeah, like after I was done watching this last night, I finished watching MODOK on Hulu because that's only 10 episodes. It's easy to get through, but they did drop all the episodes at once, but it still took me a little bit of time to get through. And that's also a good show, which if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. We'll talk about it because it's really funny. And but yeah, so RJ, do you want to join me for this to be like a weekly thing next week? You want to jump on and chit chat with me?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I'd love to do that.
Hell yeah, dude. Because I always like this because you and I are very much on the same page for our love of Marvel, and we and we won't get bogged down or sidetracked that often. We have friends. We love them. Anyway, everyone, please leave your favorite thought from the episode. What did you like? What didn't you like? What are you looking forward to? What are your theories? Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. We'll talk to you all next week. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.